In this presentation, we are going to do a few more problems involving surveys that involve two steps. Here's our first example. The records of 20,000 continuing education students were examined, and the following information was obtained. 14,000 took art class, and 7,000 took music class. 4,000 of those who took music did not take art. We're supposed to draw the Venn diagram and then use it to answer some questions. We're looking at two different classes. We're looking at art class, and we're looking at music class. There are 20,000 students in this study. 14,000 took art, so we know our art circle has a total of 14,000 people in it. Some of those art students took music, some did not. 7,000 students took music. We know the total of our music circle is 7,000. Some of those students took art, some did not. The next piece of information they give us is 4,000 of those who took music did not take art. 4,000 of those who took music did not take art. 4,000 of our music students did not take art. Okay, this region right here is, hey, I'm in music class, but I did not take art, so those 4,000 students go here. Now we know we have a total of 7,000 music students, so our music circle has a total of 7,000 students in it. Of those 7,000 students, we know 4,000 of them did not take art. To figure out how many of those music students also took art, we take our 7,000 music students, we take off or subtract off the 4,000 who did not take art, and that tells us that 3,000 students in this study or survey took music and art. Now they tell us 14,000 students took art. 14,000 students took art class. So our art circle has a total of 14,000 students. We have figured out that 3,000 of those art students also took music. So to figure out how many of those art students did not take music, or how many of those art students took art but no music or art only, we take our 14,000 art students and we subtract off the 3,000 of them who also took music. And so we know there are 11,000 students in this study who took art but no music. Now we need to figure out how many students took neither of these classes. They tell us there are a total of 20,000 students whose records were examined. So there are 20,000 students whose records were examined. We can subtract off the 11,000 who took art only. We can subtract off the 3,000 who took art and music. And we can subtract off the 4,000 who took music but no art, and that will tell us how many students in whose records were studied did not take either class, did not take art or music. And if you do that calculation, you'll have 2,000 students who took neither of these classes. So we've labeled all the regions of our Venn diagram. Now we're going to use our Venn diagram to answer questions. Question B, how many students took both classes? Students who took both classes took art and music. They are the students common to art and music circles. There are 3,000 students who took both classes. The next question is, how many students took exactly one of these classes? In other words, they took just art or they took just music. Well, 11,000 students took just art. They took one class. Plus 4,000 students took just music. They took one class. So a total of 15,000 of these students took exactly one of these classes. The next question is, how many of these students took at least one of these classes? At least one of these classes means one or more of these classes. So we've got the 11,000 students who took just art, one class, plus the 4,000 students who took just music, one class, plus the 3,000 students who took both classes. That'll be the number, if we add these up, that'll be the number of students who took at least one of these classes, took one or more of these classes, and that is 18,000 students. Question E, how many of these continuing education students took art but not music? Art but not music. That would be this region right here. That's 11,000 students. And then question F, how many of these continuing education students took neither art nor music? They didn't take either of these classes. That would be these 2,000 students here. Let's look at another example. A travel company surveyed potential customers and the following information was obtained. 110 like to travel by airplane, 70 like to travel by train but not by airplane, 50 like to travel by airplane and by train, 40 do not like to travel by airplane or by train. And we're going to draw the Venn diagram and use it to answer questions. Well, the true modes of travel being discussed here are airplane, or just plane, and train. They tell us 110 people like to travel by airplane. Our airplane circle has a total of 110 people in it. Some of those airplane people, some of those 110 people also like to travel by train, and some of those 110 people only want to travel by airplane. So I can't do anything with this piece of information yet. Let's go to the next piece of information. 70 like to travel by train but not by airplane. 70 like to travel by train but not by airplane. In other words, 70 like to travel by train or train only. So we have 70 people who go here. These 70 people travel by train, but they don't like to travel by airplane. They are train only people. Next piece of information, 50 people like to travel by airplane and by train. I love it when they give me and. And is what's common to both sets. The overlap of the airplane circle and train circle has a total of 50 people in it. 40 people do not like to travel by airplane or train. In other words, 40 people don't care for either mode of travel. Those 40 people go out here. Now let's go back to the first piece of information that we were given. 110 people like to travel by airplane. Our airplane circle has a total of 110 people in it. Of those 110 airplane people, 50 of them like to travel by train. So we need to figure out how many of those airplane people are airplane but not train people. So we take 110 minus the 50 who like to also travel by train. So we have 60 people who like to travel by airplane but not by train. We've labeled all the regions of our Venn diagram. Now we're going to use our Venn diagram to answer questions. How many of the potential customers like to travel by airplane but not by train? How many of the customers like to travel by airplane but not by train? In other words, how many people like to travel by airplane only? Airplane but no train. That would be these 60 people here. The next question, how many of the customers like to travel by airplane or train? Remember, or is union. The union of the airplane circle and the train circle would be this in here and this in here. Union is joined together these regions. So airplane or train would be the 60 plane only people plus the 50 plane and train people plus the 70 train only people. And if you add that up, you will have 180 people. And then this particular problem, they didn't give us the total number of potential customers that were in the survey, but we can use the information in the Venn diagram we drew to figure out how many people were in the survey. D is how many potential customers participated in this survey. That would be 60 plus 50 plus 70 plus, don't forget these 40 people out here. So 60 plus 50 plus 70 plus 40. There were 220 potential customers in this survey.